Dr. Chasson, do you have any other questions or comment? Okay. Mr. Centanni?
Well, I went and turned it off. Mr. President, Justin Centanni, District 6. I will be recusing myself from voting on this tonight because my children do attend Myrtle Place. And much to Dr. Chasson's consternation, I will abstain from voting. I have a daughter in first grade and I have a daughter in kindergarten for this fall, so I don't think it's proper for me to vote on this. I will, however, advocate for this proposal because Myrtle Place is in my district, and the parents that live in the Myrtle Zone are my constituents, and the parents of the Myrtle Zone are in favor of this proposal. And I wanted to present some data that I researched over the past 3 weeks because it was at Dr. Chasson's questioning 3 weeks ago or a month ago when we heard from Ms. Boudreaux the first time that he didn't understand why we could fill the Myrtle Zone or the Myrtle Place school with children from the existing zone. And so what I did was I went and got census data from the U.S. Census Bureau for 1990, 2000, and 2010 and plotted it on the maps. And this is what the change in population looks like for the Myrtle Place zone since 1990. It's lost 177 preschool children. It's lost 219 elementary school children. It's gained 45 to 60-year-olds, and then it's lost 1,000 residents over 60. And it matches what we know about that part of town, right next to downtown, that it's just an older population. And, you know, it's lost a great number of its residents in the last 25 years. So once I found this out, that answered the initial questions. I decided, since I had the data, let's take a look at what's going on parish-wide. And this is going to give a little bit of color to what Dr. Chasson was talking about when he said earlier that there's not a building boom on his side of town. Well, you know what? There's not a building boom on my side of town either, because what ends up happening is we see that this is Lafayette Parish as a whole for the 8 general areas of the parish. Everything's growing just like we all know it to be. This is school-age children for the same time frame, birth to 17. And North Lafayette gets a bit of a rap for losing population, but the city of Lafayette is what's really experiencing the problem. This is, it should be noted, the city limits of Lafayette, all children, public, private, charter. This is just, if you are a resident of Lafayette Parish from birth to 17, this is the shift in population that we've experienced over the last 25 years. And Mike Hefner sat up here and told us that we rezoned in '85, and then we did some rezoning in 2002, and very little since then. We're still living with the same zone lines from 25 years ago, and this is what the population has done in the meantime. So I would make the case that the population no longer mirrors our facilities and zones. Mr. Kinesic presented some classroom data several weeks ago, and so I took the same information that we saw on the previous screen and I put the classrooms right there. In the blue, you can see where our classrooms are. In Lafayette and North Lafayette, we have about 45% of the classrooms. In Youngsville, 15%. And this is elementary school. In the meantime, while we have 45% of the classrooms, we've lost 49% of the population that we've gained in the last 25 years. Youngsville has gained 65%. This is almost the most stunning part of it. You know, the net gain in 25 years of middle school age children is only 332 children, but it's because the city of Lafayette has lost 1,000. That 305% there is 1,000 students, and Youngsville has gained 1,000 students. You know, it's almost as if every 10-year-old kid in Lafayette moved to Youngsville over the last 25 years.
Mr. Centanni, just briefly on that slide. It's off subject, but these middle school kids, this 356% increase in middle school kids in Youngsville, will be going to high school very soon.
You would think.
Thank you.
You would think 10-year-olds will be 15 before you know it.
Thank you.
And then the high school data, we see much the same thing. We have 61% of the high school classrooms in Lafayette, in the city of Lafayette. We've lost 35% of the students, even though we've gained 2,000 overall, and there's Youngsville again with no classrooms and 65% of the gain in population. And then we can break it down here where you'll see this across the board. It's not a North Lafayette problem or a parish problem. It's a city of Lafayette problem where under 5 since 1990, 5 to 9 since 1990, and there's your thousand students there. 10 to 14 since 1990. We're doing okay in high school. Doing okay. It hasn't hit high school yet. You would imagine that this lack of population in middle school will get to high school soon. And then we have a college. We're still losing young parents, which will explain why we don't have elementary and middle school age children. And then where the city of Lafayette really shines is when you get over the age of 45. I joke with Mr. Hidalgo that nobody's retiring to Youngsville. They're all 37 and have 2.5 kids. Well, we've Lafayette. These are the people my age where they grew up, and their parents still live there. And with rare exceptions, ages 45 to 60, I don't believe are having elementary school age children. So over 60. And I wanted to show that it's not just a downtown problem or a North Lafayette problem. It goes all the way to Ambassador Caffrey and College Saloon. What I found is that the Broadmoor zone, part of it is on the north side of Ambassador Caffrey, and then the other part is the south side of Ambassador Caffrey up to E. Broussard Road. And if you split the two out, south of Ambassador Caffrey looks like Youngsville and Milton and Scott and Dussault, but inside of Ambassador Caffrey looks just like this. Like, this is actually less severe because the entire zone is taken into account. And the same thing happens in Woodvale. It's just the reason we can't fill the school is Myrtle Place is farther along than these other two zones. But it's coming, and I think you're starting to see it in the population data that Ms. Biado referenced, where you have 22 children, these third grade and fourth grade classes at Broadmoor. But when you get down into kindergarten, you get up to 18 and 19 with the ESL students that have been mainstreamed. And so I bring that up because I think it's a parish-wide problem, and this is, I did this independently of Dr. Chasson. I had most of this data collected prior to him adding the agenda item on rezoning tonight, but I think it's really important that we recognize this data isn't a solution. This data is simply identifying the problem. The proposal to convert Myrtle Place to full immersion, as Mr. Hefner said, you look at your programming, you look at the schools of choice, and what we have is an opportunity before school starts next year to raise the pupil-teacher ratio in Myrtle Place to a reasonable level, not 7 to 1, not 12 to 1, but up closer to 20 to 1 without unduly burdening Broadmoor and S.J. Montgomery. It's the thing where when we went up on the pupil-teacher ratio and we work our way through all this budget issue and we talk about rezoning, this is the way that we go down on the classroom ratio. This is the way. We take kids that are in classes with 24 and we put them in classes that have 16. And one of the ways you do it is schools of choice. One of the ways you do it is building new schools. One of the ways you do it is moving ESL. There are a lot of options at our disposal, but this is one of them. So thank you for your indulgence, and I hope you support this proposal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Centanni.